I would like to welcome everyone once again, and to everyone at home doing our remote group. I know that's been a very busy time for everybody, staying home and just staying home. Well, we're here and we're doing it right along with you here on campus. So today's lecture, we spoke already about the whole concept of self-care. And I wanted to make sure that everybody understood that concept. We're going to kind of branch out now. Once you're really good at taking care of yourself, you've developed that magnificent art of self-discipline and feeling urges to want to do things that intellectually you know may not be the smartest thing for you to do, but emotionally the subconscious mind keeps dragging you back. And you end up having the things that you know you're not supposed to have. It's that fine art of self-discipline. It is the hallmark of people who stop their aging process. And we have a number of people here who have been through the program before, and they've come back. And now they're bringing it up to yet a higher level. Already, their results in the gym transcended even what they did last year in our first group. So I'm very, very excited to see how they're going to do. And they're doing so well because, in fact, they developed that art of self-discipline. And the conditioned ego mind will always, always drag you back to what's convenient and what's comfortable. Basically, we're a lazy group. No, I'm not saying that, not personally, I'm just saying in general, our aim is to just be comfortable. But it's when you challenge yourself that you grow. It's when you transcend those urges to do things that you know are not right for you that things happen. That's when you really, you own you. You become more authentic you. So today, I want to start working on a little bit of interpersonal type skills. And I'm going to do a couple of lectures on this because it's so very important. Unless you have a clone of you, God forbid, you're going to have people with differences of opinion, different backgrounds, different cultures, just differences. And instead of celebrating them, we tend to fear them if we don't know them, and we react to them. And we are in a place now where, hopefully with all this chaos going on, that we can learn to really understand more about each other and learn to work with each other. Because we are going into a time of chaos, in my opinion. Having been listening to Gary for so many years, I am understanding that the things that he saw 10 years ago that were going to happen are unfolding more rapidly than we ever thought. So one of the most amazing things for me to witness as a leader, as a manager, when I worked in the hospital and now when I'm managing retreats, is watching people work together or not. So what I'd like to do today, and I'm hoping everyone at home is going to be able to see this, we're going to do an exercise. And I've done this exercise with countless groups, and each time it comes out differently. The dynamics are different. Why? Because I have so many different people that convene in a group. So here's how this is going to work. It's called the executive sock throw. Sock throw. So I'm going to need 8 people to come up here in a circle. Anytime now. Just 8 of you. Come on up and get in a circle. You've got to be in front of this light, and you can come as far back as me. So I've got 2. I've got 6 more people that I need.
Fast?
Yeah. Tomorrow we can take our masks off. That's okay. We'll get everybody positioned. Oh, I got 4. I need 4 more. Well, they're going to have to spread out a little bit. We got to spread out. Listen, if they don't get in the picture, it's okay. We're going to do it anyway. We got to get a circle going. Someone can stand here. So we already got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's a circle, not an oblong, not a rectangle, not a semicircle. It's just a circle. Okay?
Take a look and you can adjust it as best you can. That side needs to move in just a bit.
Yeah, Winona, and move over towards each other. Good, right there. Good, good, good. And Winona, a little more to your left. Good, okay. And Susan Kreil, take a step in. Elaine, take a step back. Back, 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 back. And Ron, take a step back. That's good. Okay, as good as it's going to be. So here's the rules. We're going to throw this sock around the circle. And the rule is this: you can't give it to someone on your immediate left or your immediate right. And once you pick your person, that's the same person you're going to throw it to the entire time. Okay, so we're good? We got that? Yeah? Okay. Now, every single person has to catch the socks once. So the rest of you have to see who's getting the sock. You can't throw it to that person. All right? So this is a group exercise. So I need everyone to be paying attention. Now, if we're throwing it back and forth and someone somehow doesn't get the sock, we start again until everybody gets the sock once. That make sense? Easy. Okay? Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Remember who you threw it to now. Okay, did everybody get the sock once? Who didn't get the sock? Oh,
I started.
right, and you can't pass it to her. So we're going to start again. Give it to Susan. And we'll start again. Remember, she can't give it to that person or that person. Okay? Go ahead. Remember who you're throwing it to now. Susan can't get it twice. You could.
She hasn't received it.
You haven't received. Okay. So then you threw it back to the same person?
No.
No. You've got to always throw it to the same person.
Oh.
Okay? See, understand when you're in groups, and this is universal, and you get instructions, it's not always easy to get the instructions. And it takes a while for everyone to kind of get it and figure out the rule. So whoever you throw it to, that's the same person you throw it to every time. Okay? Good. Try again. Good.
You didn't throw it to me last time.
Well, no, she's starting again. Now, those of you watching, I want you to observe what's going on. Okay. Who hasn't gotten it yet? Good. Now, throw to the same person you started with. Who did you throw it to? Okay. Beautiful. Okay. Now, what did you notice so far, everybody on the outside?
He got it. Oh.
Or anybody else in the circle, what are you noticing so far?
She hesitates.
Did he get it twice? Did he get it twice?
No?
We weren't sure whether it went from, like, in other words, a rule went from round to round.
Round and round, same person every single
round.
time. So what are you all observing on the outside?
Hesitation, it's not an automatic thing.
Right, everyone's thinking. Right? Oh, and Angelo just wants to get rid of it. He's clowning around doing, acrobatics, and other people are just trying to focus on who the hell did I throw it to? So this is a group dynamic. We're observing to see what's happening here. Okay? So you have the socks? Who has the socks? All right. Very good. All right, so let's do it again. Go. Same people.
John.
Same people.
Oh, okay.
Just what you did. You got it right.
Oops, I'm sorry.
I'll get it.
Keep going. That's it.
Okay.
Beautiful. Keep going. Good. 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 Good.
Do we go faster and faster?
Go.
Hey, Ron.
Oh, wow.
No. Luann. No.
Oh.
You guys are doing good. Come on. Come on.
Could we talk during this process about
I have conversations.
giving people directions? Like, don't throw it to someone who actually has it yet. How about that? Wait till they get rid of it, then you can throw it at them. Okay? Roll easy. Roll easy. There's no need to control. Throw it easy. Nice and easy. Okay. Nice and easy. What? Something dropped. Do not throw the cell phone. The cell phone is not part of the exercise.
Susan, is that mine?
Hey!
Chaos reigns.
Come on now.
Susan, there we go.
Easy.
We got socks down here. What's going on here, John? Come on.
So you have this many pairs of socks.
Wait until I see it. Here we go. Oh.
I violated my own rule.
Oh, goodness.
There.
You can't hold on to socks. You can't have two socks and hold on to them.
Dave, this. Dave. Oh, got it.
There's a pair of socks on the floor. Come on.
Come on.
Let's go.
You gotta throw them, you can't have two pants.
I understand.
Slow way.
All right, all right, all right. Let's hold up. Let's hold up. Let's hold up.
He's not taking this.
I counted them all up.
All right. All right. How many pairs of socks we have out here?
8.
Excuse me? You have 5 pair of socks. Go ahead, pick those up.
Who's behind you?
Now, let's ask people on the outside, what are they observing here? There's another. So you have 6. Well,
Looks like they started having fun and it just kind of evolved from there.
okay.
I thought they started out first pretty well, and then they did it, it was chaotic.
Well, the group is only as good as its members. In every group, a leader emerges
Yeah.
and says, throw it softly, let's all do this together, right? And then I had to intervene and said, you can't hold on to one pair of socks. That defeats the whole purpose, okay? So, you know, and then of course we all had a good time throwing socks at John Q. Right? And it got to a point where people just wanted to get rid of their socks. And you know, Angelo showed his complete self-absorption and just started chucking things at John like that. You know, it reveals a lot about the group.
Or waiting for the other person to get that so you can.
Right, right. So you're receiving here and getting ready to throw there, right? So the way this works in harmony is if people all said, everyone throw at the same time, right? So what we did the last time, just move over, I'm kind of crowding you here. What we did the last time in the last group was we had someone on the outside pacing, 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 so that you throw it, throw it, throw it, go. So then you start, and then people don't throw until the next person throws. That's when a group is working together. Now, there's always going to be someone in a group who's going to drop the ball or the sock. What is the rest of the group going to do? Are they going to wait? Or are they just going to say, I don't want the sock, I'm done, I'm ready for the next one. Come on, I'm ready for the next one. So it's all about when you're in a group dynamic like this, we're supposed to be looking out for each other. When you first get instructions, and it's new instructions, there's an anxiety. And the anxiety says, I want to just get this right and get the sock out of my damn hands. Right? And just get it to the person, get it to the person. Now, Susan was going, Elaine, Elaine, Elaine. So Elaine was paying attention when she was going to throw it to her. So there's all kinds of communication that's going on. And then after a while, you know, when things start to get chaotic, well, first of all, it is funny. It's fun. And you want to keep that spirit of fun. You know, sometimes in groups, people get very angry at the person dropping them. The last time we had a 95-year-old, Katinka, was here. And Katinka was having so much fun looking at all the different colored socks that I have. He said the same thing. Look at all, artists will notice that. You have that many pairs of socks? Yeah, you don't even want to know how many little bracelets I have that match my outfit either. So, you know, and she was so busy looking at the socks, and before you know it, she had socks coming at her from all directions, and everyone was in hysterics, and before you know it, the whole thing stopped, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to do this again, and I want someone to be sitting on the outside pacing us, saying, go, and go, and go. Yes, ma'am.
What I noticed was, when I was trying to throw her the sock, I was trying to wait because she was watching to see if she was going to catch the sock that she threw.
Right.
So I'm trying to wait until she's looking, and then I threw it. But is that right?
And I was throwing them too fast.
She's looking at, after you throw it, you look at, you know, you look to see the next one.
No, I don't, it's not about that. It's about, about when you were ready.
All right.
Think I wasn't ready? Why do you say that?
Because I felt as if there were times when I was just doing it without having gotten eye contact, without seeing whether you were in fact ready to get it, because you were still in an action.
Right.
That's why.
So when everyone does it together at the same time, it should go a lot smoother. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good. So we're going to do it again. She's going, crap. How did my socks get all balled up here? I don't know. All right, let's try this again. And who's going to be my pacer out here? Pedro. Okay. Now, you want to use the same people or you want to throw to different people? That would really mess them up. Okay, good. So let's go. Ready? And who's my pacer? And go. And go.
Go. Go.
Not too fast.
Go. 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 Go.
Oh, sorry.
Where's my pacer?
Go. Go.
And,
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 Go.
go. And go. And go. And,
Go.
and,
Go.
and,
Go.
and,
Go.
and.
Go.
All right.
Go. 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 Go.
Oh,
Go.
hold up.
Collision.
Go.
Go ahead.
Go. 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 Go.
I can see you, Susan.
Stop.
We're not gonna
Okay.
make eye contact.
Go.
I see you out of my periphery.
Go. Hold. Hold. Hold.
Hold it.
Hold.
Oh,
Go. Go.
Go, Elaine. Come on.
Go. Go.
oh, I did this too fast.
Hold.
Hold up.
Go. 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 Hold.
No, wait. Hold. He said hold.
Go.
You got to wait for the guy. Go.
Hold. Go. 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 Hold.
Hold up. Come on, Susan.
Go. Go. Go.
Sorry.
Hold. Go. 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 Hold. Go. Go.
Whose is this?
Go.
Okay.
Hold it. Go. Hold. Go. 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 Go.
Oh, Jesus, Elaine. See? Are we going too fast? Are you going too fast?
You have to wait till he says go.
Yeah.
Wait.
When he
Some of
says
them are going
go,
too fast.
throw.
Good. Okay. Ready? Go.
Go. Go.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
Go. 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 Go.
Why are you filming
Hold
me?
it.
No.
Hold it. Hold it.
Go.
Go ahead.
Hold it. Go. Hold it. Go. I'm gonna tell you, the catch is it. Go. Go. Hold it. Go.
Go.
Hold it. Go. Go. Hold it. Go. 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 Hold it. Go.
Oh.
Go. Hold it. Go.
All right, I think that'll do it. Now, did you ever see so many people drop socks in your life? I mean, seriously. Well, we got through, how many pairs? 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pair.
It was in the socks are getting heavy.
Well, the thing is, I've had one group of all the times I've done this exercise that actually got all 8 socks going. And they coordinated with each other, and there was a counter, and they learned that some people will throw lower, some people throw in the middle, and some people will lop it higher. And this way the socks didn't collide, because you notice we had a lot of sock collisions going on, and then you don't realize, well, what color was I supposed to get? It's an interesting dynamic to see how groups work together or not. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So here on campus, we're all working together, and if we have each other's backs, we're constantly looking out for each other to make sure everyone's doing okay, right? And you notice we rotate down here, for those of you at home, we rotate the chores. So for one full week, someone is on kitchen cleanup, and then they rotate. They rotate to emptying the trash and making sure the public bathrooms are clean. Then they rotate the next week, and they may be on kitchen prep, and they're on that for a week. And each of us have to teach the other one, this is how we do this. I have someone who's monitoring the sprouts and microgreens. And there's a whole technique you've got to do for the sprouts and microgreens, and whoever did it the week before is now showing the next person. So before you know it, everybody knows what everyone else is doing. We have it all on a big board. So it doesn't make a difference if you're in a group of strangers or if you're in your own family group at home. There's group dynamics that are occurring. So it's important to just kind of be aware of them. And one of the things you have to watch is that not to, it got to a point where there are in one of the groups that I did, people were angry at each other, for not catching them on time. And it got to be like a speed throw. The second someone got one, it was out. And it was more like it was all men. It was a group of men, very competitive. Yeah, it was just very interesting to watch. So when you have a group of all different energies, all different personalities, all different backgrounds, you get all different responses. But the most important thing is no matter what, have fun, right? You guys are having a good time. I was having a good time watching you. So it's important to understand that whole group dynamic. And I don't know how much of that at home that you all saw. That's a Texas term, y'all. I practice in the mirror. Y'all.
I noticed that I came up with those solutions early in the game, but I didn't say anything. The lobby at high, middle.
Yeah, right.
And I thought, that's what I learned from it. There's a lot of solutions, and I bet we all thought of them, but we didn't speak out.
That's an excellent point. We all think we have solutions, but we don't speak out about them. We just want to kind of blend in, because what if someone says something wrong, bad about me? Yeah. Good. So has Gary gone over with all of you the life energies yet? Did we do that yet? No? Okay. You'll learn about the life energies and that there's all different life energies. I mean, I used to study the personality types, and I even did geometric psychology. You know, I would draw a triangle, a square, a circle, and a rectangle. And I'd say, pick one. So if you had to pick one of those shapes, what would you pick?
Rectangle.
Rectangle? Triangle? Circle? Circle. What?
Star.
A star is not one of the shapes. Star is just a confused triangle. So, you know, of those shapes, you pick a shape. And the people that pick the circle are the people that they just want everyone to get along and be happy. They are the people pleasers. I just want everyone to get along and be happy. Those are the circles. Anyone pick a box? Yeah, square. Yeah, square is the same as a box. Equal sides, 4 sides. Yeah? Anybody pick a box? Yeah.
The box and rectangle.
Well, rectangle is different from a box. It's 4 sides, but they're not equal. Okay, I didn't do trapezoids. That's like psychosis, but no, I'm talking about just basic shapes. So a box, people that pick the box are usually people that follow the rules. Yeah, and they do a good job. And you give them something to do, and they're going to focus on it and do it well. Right? So when Evelyn's in the kitchen, she's doing it. She's kicking it. She's making it happen. Right? Anything that she does, you give me something to do, and I'll do it. Right? And then we have our triangles. Where are my triangles? Yes. Triangles are your leadership people, because they're always aiming up. They're always looking up, and they are always coming to a point. They want to get to the point. They don't have time for the riffraff. They want to move along, and they're always looking to go up. The oldest in the family, the matriarchy of the family. It's always people that are the heads of something. They're the leaders, and they're always forward thinking, right? So they don't care if people are getting along. That's why we need the circles in the group. The circles help everyone get along. And the triangles are good at giving instructions to the boxes. Now the rectangles, who picked a rectangle? Rectangles are really boxes that are trying to be triangles, but they just can't get to the point. So they just keep staying parallel in their rectangle. It's just a personality type thing. There are so many different, then I do a lot of work with conflict management when we talk about the personality types. I'm going to do a whole presentation on nasty people. It's good to be able to manage nasty people. I know you don't know any around here. Yeah. So we're going to talk about people, how to deal with angry people. Yeah, it's a whole different way of living. When you understand people, you see them in a different context than just your upbringing and your authority figures and your own experiences. You have a deeper understanding of the different personality types, and then when you get to the life energies, whoa, Gary will tell you, you've basically got 3 basic energies. You have creative people, you have adaptive people, and then you have dynamics. The creative people are only one type, and that's called a creative assertive. That's the people that have that creativity in them, and it has to come out. It has to come out. So they can have a day job, but their creativity has to be expressed in either their painting, their sculpting, their music, whatever. Their filmmaking, their directing, they're creative. And it's in there, and all this information is pouring in their head, and it's got to be expressed in whatever art form, whether it's their dancing, whatever it is. Creative assertives. There's just one type of creative person, and that's a creative assertive. Now there are there are assertives, then there are aggressives, right? And then there are supportives. Supportives are just in the other two sets of energies. You have the adaptive supportives. The adaptive supportives, and you're going to see this, you're going to see a whole film on this. The adaptive supportives are the people that have those gigantic blow-up things on their lawns every holiday. They have big blow-up figures of St. Patrick's Day, big blow-up snowmen in Christmas time. Anytime, if you give them something, a system to work within, they're going to do it, man, and they are going to outclass everyone. So Valentine's Day, get out the Valentine's Day decorations. You know, I grew up in an adaptive, supportive family. Both my parents were adaptive supportives. So every holiday, take down the New Year's stuff and put up the Valentine's stuff. No sooner is the Valentine's stuff down, let's put up the St. Patrick's Day stuff. And then after St. Patrick's Day comes the next holiday and the next holiday. And you got all your decorations for every holiday. Adaptive supportives, though, are the glue of your community. They are your blue-collar workers. These are the people that are out there making this country happen. They're your truck drivers. They're your secretaries. You name it. Any of the worker things that are going out there, that's the adaptive supportives. They're making a living, they're busting their butt, and family is of the utmost importance to them. So these are your adaptive supportives. Then you have the adaptive assertives. Now, the adaptive assertives are your very, very, very detail-oriented people. They are more like your supervisors and your managers, and they like everything to be just so. I once met someone who lived in Vermont, I think. No, not Vermont. Rhode Island, yeah. And he was a quintessential adaptive assertive. Anytime I went to visit him in his home, everything was in the same place all the time. Nothing was ever moved out of its position, whether it was the statue or a clock or anything. The napkins were put very carefully on the table. Do you know people like this? Very detail-oriented, very. And they get very upset should something be out of place. All right? Yeah. So I would go over there, and while he was doing something else, I just moved things all around his house. I changed things wherever things are.
Is that the same as OCD?
In a way, OCD, you've got to look at the root cause of why that's really happening. But adaptive assertives, it's just their life energy to keep things organized and neat. So that's your adaptive assertives. And then you have your adaptive aggressives. Your adaptive aggressives, you give them a framework to work in, and they're going to work it. The adaptive aggressives are your salespeople. They can sell you anything. They are very charming people, and every life energy has an upside and a downside. If you're coming from a place of unconditional love and you're manifesting your life energy without all the interference of your past, you're going to be able to really live a happy life because you love what you're doing, right? Creatives love what they're doing. They do. They just love it. And adaptive assertives love the fact that they can organize their life and help everybody else organize their lives. Adaptive aggressives, they're your salespeople. Yep. They can sell you anything. So when you have people that, these are the people that in the 80s and 90s were doing the pyramid things, and they could talk you into anything. Ah, man, I could just never do that. But they could convince anybody that this is what they should be doing, and this is what everyone should have this, and you should have it too. And you pay them to get it. Quintessential, right? And then, of course, you have the dynamics. You have the dynamic supportives. Dynamic supportives are they see the big picture, and the dynamics are the people that walk into a room and people stop and look. Those are the dynamics. John is a dynamic, John Q. He can walk into a room and just take it over, and he has so much fun. He doesn't need to be the center of attention, but boy, when he goes out there and he can work a group. He can make you forget that you're exercising so hard because you're having so much damn fun. They keep it light. They support the other dynamics, and it's just wonderful to have dynamic supportives. Then you have the dynamic assertives. The dynamic assertives are what we call the watchdogs. They're the watchdogs of society. Guess who's a dynamic assertive? Yeah. So they're the ones that don't let people get away with stuff. I was going to get Gary a big giant plaque that says, "Never underestimate my ability to find shit out." Because if anyone can do it, he can. And he does. And he is tireless and he is ruthless with finding the truth and exposing the corruption of what we have accepted and adapted to. Our adaptives adapt to whatever is thrown at them. The dynamic assertives say, no, 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 no. I see what you're doing. You're exploiting people, which is what's happening right now. It's been happening since the Industrial Revolution. It's been happening when we came in and very nicely and carefully killed off all the Native Americans. We exploit people. So the dynamic assertives step in and stop that. And they can be the center of attention, but it's most important for them and their life energy to go out there and expose the truth and help all the other life energies to understand it and begin to live their lives consistent with truth versus conditioning. Dynamic assertives. And then you have the dynamic aggressives. The dynamic aggressives are the Donald Trumps. That Kim Jong-un, whatever the hell's name is, right? Mussolini. These are your dictators who love and need to be the center of attention at all times. They must. And they need control all the time. So their goal is to control everybody. Now, if they're on their upside, they make phenomenal leaders. If they're on their downside, they can destroy an entire planet. Yeah. So that's why we need all of the energies together. We need the dynamic assertives to keep check on everybody. We need the dynamic supportives to kind of influence people in a good way, help to keep them light. We need the dynamic aggressives to be our rulers, our leaders out there. We need the creatives to help us, see art as a reflection of life. Life is a reflection in art. You need that. You need the adaptives. They're the glue of the whole society. If we stop collecting garbage, my father was a sanitation worker for New York City, 20 years. Hey, oh, Italian man, what can I say? Right? So if he weren't out there, and I grew up thinking, my father, I didn't know what he did, but he brought presents home for us every day. Well, he was in Little Neck, which is a very high-end area at the time. So we got Barbie dolls, Beatle albums, things that people threw out. He would bring home, and I thought, my father, he's the best. He brings us presents every day. What did I know? He was a garbage man. It's all about the perception. Yeah, and he worked 2-3 jobs. He was your quintessential blue-collar worker. He pumped gas part-time. He drove a school bus, for handicapped children part-time, and he worked in New York City full-time, so to keep his family afloat. So they're the glue. So you have all the different life energies, and when you have them all together in a room, when you have them in a group, just like we did with the sock throw, when everyone understands and appreciates the other energies, things work very smoothly. Does this make sense? Yeah. And we have to learn to not criticize the other life energies. We need to understand that we have different life energies and work along with them. so that when everyone is cohesive together, and that is one of the things that we want to do here on campus, is we want to transform this place into what we call a kind of a holistic community where everyone is doing something else to help each other. I work with a woman in Washington State. I had mentioned this, and she has chickens, so she sells their eggs. Well, she doesn't sell them, she barters them with other neighbors. And she happens to be phenomenal at growing tomatoes. She's got 10 variety of tomatoes in her greenhouse, and she's just amazing with tomatoes. And then she has neighbors down the road that are growing edible flowers and mushrooms. There's another person that's growing root vegetables. They have a whole root cellar. And so they all grow their things, and they all gather together every weekend, and they trade. Here's your eggs, and here's your mushrooms, and they just barter with each other. It's a beautiful way to live. And there's also ways to help each other. One of the things we've been wanting to do here is to create an artist community, where you have people that will just be here, make their art, and go to the farmer's market and sell it. Or people that are we are building greenhouses. That is just endless supply of income, because people will always need food. So when you think of all the different things that you can grow here, things that are growing right out here, we have fruit trees all over the place, we're making greenhouses. It's all about being sustainable in a very unsustainable world. It's so important to be able to have that skill and that understanding. And the fact that you're going to need adaptive assertives to organize the thing. You're going to need adaptive supporters to go out there and plant the stuff and make sure everything is clean and maintained well. You're going to need your adaptive aggressives to go to market and sell the stuff so that people will buy it. Look what we have here. Right? And the creatives are going to help us to create innovative ideas of how to market ourselves, how to present, how to make the beautiful banner that we're going to have in back of us in the farmer's market. Is this all making sense? Fascinating when you learn to work together in a group. Now, we're in a small group here, but imagine if we had a whole group of people working in harmony together. It's absolutely amazing. Unfortunately, we're in a society right now where people are afraid, and it's all about take care of yourself. Just take care of yourself. Don't touch my stuff. This is my stuff. Don't get in my face. And isolating people, forcing them to stay at home with their kids and their spouses. Yeah, there's a lot, either that or a lot of births in 9 months, one or the other. A lot of people joining AA, a lot of stuff. But it's going to be fascinating to watch what happens. Either you are going to live in fear, and you're going to live angry, and just keep projecting all that, or you're going to get depressed. I have a lot of people who are calling me up from Gary's audience, or not even Gary's audience, just people calling me and saying, I'm so depressed, I just want to kill myself. The world is falling apart. What's going on? I can't take this. Well, they're personalizing people and events they have absolutely no control over. I control what I can control. I can control what I eat. I can control moving my body. I can control when I go to bed and when I wake up. I can control a lot of things. And I do. And every day I wake up above ground, it's a good day. I get another chance to explore and live my dynamic self, whatever that's going to be for me today. And I just wait for challenges to come at me, or I create my own challenges, and I work with it. I figure it out. There's always solutions to everything. So when you have that childlike curiosity that never stops, you become like a sponge for new information. And when I first came into this whole field of integrative and alternative medicine, I was amazed at what was out there that was going on for years, that the Chinese figured out 5,000 years ago. I had no clue about this. All I learned was pharmacology, drugs, side effects, drug interactions, It's the same stuff over and over. I had 3 full years of pharmacology courses. So then I could go out and practice pharmacology nursing, I call it. Because we really didn't have time to sit and talk to families. As a manager, I did, but my staff certainly didn't have the time to do that. It's very interesting how all this has evolved. So I want you to think about this. I'm going to share one technique with you before I close today. And that is, suppose, just suppose, you're working with someone and you have a conflict with them. I know that doesn't happen around here. I want to show you a phenomenal technique that works. The top executives utilize this technique, and it's called neutral confrontation. How to confront people without setting them off. Because when you hear the word confrontation, it sounds very aggressive. Sounds like you're going to attack someone, you're going to confront them. Right? Neutral confrontation, you're actually putting yourself in their shoes. But you need to let someone know that a certain behavior is not acceptable to you. Right? Because if you don't set boundaries with people, they're going to walk all over you. So while this is all about loving self, interpersonal love, transpersonal love, standing up for what's right, this is also about setting boundaries with people whose behavior is unacceptable. It's just, people behave badly. All right? So there's ways to confront people. And the very first thing, and I have this all written down in a handout, so you don't have to write it down. The very first thing you need to do is to state what behavior the person has and how it's making you feel. Because you're entitled to your feelings. You are not your feelings. Those are just feelings. Feelings are just emotions coming from thoughts. So if someone is saying something to you or doing something to you or behaving a certain way, you've got to be clear about what it is they're doing that's bugging you. All right? Now, of course, you're only going to use this for people that are important to you. If the person's not important to you, you just see them as free live entertainment and walk away. However, if it's a colleague, if it's someone you're living with for 8 weeks, if it's someone that you're living with at home, and you want to start setting boundaries with them, the neutral confrontation is phenomenal. So, you state how you feel. I feel, all right? The next step is called empathy. You put yourself in the other person's shoes. And you need to use the words, I can appreciate the fact that. I can appreciate the fact that. So you're saying, I'm thinking, I can appreciate the fact that maybe you're behaving this way because of this, that, and the other. And you don't want to make it sound like you're putting them down. You don't want to say, I can appreciate the fact you're behaving like this because your mother probably dropped you on your head when you were little. No. You don't want to say stuff like that because now you're just cutting them down. So you want to put yourself in their shoes. I can appreciate the fact that. The next step is going to be how you want them to behave towards you. And you say the phrase, what I'd like to suggest is, and you tell them exactly how you'd like them to approach you. Right? And then finally, you talk about the consequences. And you say, this way, if you behave like that, I'm not going to feel but. And then you also say, because if you continue to behave like that, I'm going to continue to feel like that, and our relationship is going to deteriorate. And my relationship with you is important to me. Does that sound like an okay thing? Now I got to tell you, just like the first time you got up and walked, the first time you got on a bike and rode a bike, it's not going to be easy the first time you try it. You'll stumble. You'll stumble over the words. You got to memorize it. That's why I have it written down for everybody. So give me an example of something that really bugs you about someone's behavior. It doesn't have to be here. It could be at home. It could be at work. Just a general thing. So we can get one of these scripts going. Who's got something for me? Wow, you guys have perfect lives. You don't have any conflicts at all with people? What?
When I'm trying to explain something to someone and they don't allow me to say everything that I need to get out before they start telling me stuff.
Okay, so someone is interrupting you and preaching without getting your full... Perfect. So, when I'm explaining something to you and you cut me off, I feel frustrated or I feel put off, right? And you can say, I can appreciate the fact that you really want to help me to resolve this. And you say then, what I'd like to suggest is that you let me finish what I have to say before you come in and give me suggestions. This way, I'm not going to be feeling automatically frustrated and putting up a barrier to what you're saying to me. Because if you continue to keep cutting me off and preaching to me before I even get my sentence out, I'm going to continue to feel frustrated, and our relationship is just going to deteriorate, and my relationship with you is important to me. And then shut up. Yeah, because people think they have to keep embellishing. No, then you stop. You've said your piece. And this is just one technique. I'm going to share a bunch of them. I got lots of them. All right? So I want you to think about this and write down one of your own. I had a supervisor at the hospital I worked at. She was 6'3". She was very domineering and very authoritarian. She had those navy blue eyes like Liz Taylor that could cut right through your brain, And she didn't like me because I didn't play by the rules. I'm a dynamic energy. I see what's wrong and I fix it. I don't wait to get someone's permission. I just do stuff because it's the right thing for the patients whose lives we're in charge of. So every month we have these leadership meetings one-on-one with our supervisors. And I was a staff nurse for not even a year, and they moved me to a smaller medical unit, and they said to this woman, you keep an eye on her. Anything you can do to terminate her, do it. Because I opened my mouth about the horrific staffing that was going on. One nurse to 18 patients with one nursing assistant, and you couldn't handle all the acuity that was going on. And it was wrong for a new graduate right out of college to be responsible for all those lives that were acutely ill. It was wrong. And they just said, hey, you got to learn the ropes, girlie. Get out there and do it. You're responsible. And you better protect your own license. You're scared to death. So I had this stuff called Morning Thunder. It's a celestial seasonings tea that has 10 times the caffeine of a cup of coffee in one cup. So I was like Edward Scissorhands. With my IVs, we're mixing hyperalimentation, mixing chemotherapy, then setting up blood transfusions, setting up IVs with antibiotics, and we were just going nonstop from midnight to 8 in the morning. And then I had to sit down and give a report, and tell them what I did all night to 3 different nurses on the day shift who had 6 patients each. It was exhausting. It was wrong. So I called an emergency staff meeting with my head nurse at midnight. So they didn't like me. And so they put me on a small medical unit. And sure enough, this nurse, this supervisor was trying to find every way possible to get me fired. Why are you taking that basin of warm water to someone who already got washed up? I said, well, because they're diabetic, I'm going to do foot care so they don't get any foot infections while they're here in the hospital. Got a problem with that? All right. They were looking. Well, they were leadership positions in another hospital. And I finally got out from under her and I went to this other hospital. Smaller division, did great there, and then they deconstructed that whole hospital to turn it into outpatient. We all had to go back to the main division and find positions. So who do you think they give me this is when I started getting multiple units. Who do you think they assigned to be my supervisor? Her. I'm like, crap, I finally get out from under her, and now this. So every month we had to sit and have these leadership meetings. And all she did was rip me apart for 60 minutes. You're the youngest administrator in this hospital, and you don't have a master's degree. You need to go back for your master's degree. And I see this, and I see that, and you're spending this, and I'm. She just went on and on and on and on. And I would leave there practically in tears. And I'd go back to my unit and say, all right, well, can't change her. I'll go back and do what I'm doing. Because my units ran very well, very efficiently. They didn't like that because I wasn't playing by their rules. All my employees did their own evaluations. Yes, they did. They were harder on them than I'd ever be. The bottom line was, I learned this technique. I went to one of these leadership classes, and I go, oh, I'm going to try this on Mariana. I'm going to try it on her. So there I go. I memorized my little speech, and I went in there and I sat down, put all my books down, and she started in. He's complaining about every little stupid little thing and all what's wrong with me and what's wrong with my staff and what's wrong with my units and what's wrong with my budget. So whenever you confront someone, by the way, say their name. People love to hear their name. I said, Mariana, I said, when we have our leadership meetings every month, we spend most of the time talking about what's wrong with me, what's wrong with my staff, and what's wrong with my units. I can appreciate the fact that as my supervisor, you really, in your heart of hearts, want to see me be the best leader that I can be. What I'd like to suggest is that we spend half the meeting with your criticisms and the other half having me discuss with you all the wonderful things that are happening on my units, with my patients, with the discharge planning, with the case management, with my staff. I said, this way I'm not going to feel like all I'm going to do here every month is come and listen to you rip me apart and my staff and my work. I'll feel like our meetings are going to be more balanced. Because if you continue to spend the entire meeting just talking about what's wrong, I'm going to continue to just feel utterly frustrated, and my relationship with you is going to deteriorate. And my relationship with you is important to me. So she sat back in her chair and she said, would you go to a leadership conference or something? Yeah. I said, yes, I did. She goes, that's nice. And she went on to criticize. I picked up my books, I turned around, and I left. She says, you get back in here right now. And I just went like this, and I left. Well, the next month she was waiting for me. I went back in, and she started in. And I said the same thing. Mariana, when we spend the entire meeting talking about what's wrong, and she goes, don't start, don't start. I picked up my books, and I left. She says, you're dispensable, you know. I said, dispense of me. And I walked out. Well, weeks later, the entire leadership in the hospital was reorganized. And I was now, she was demoted, I was promoted. We were now on the same level. She had a different set of units. I had my units plus 3 more. See, this is what happens when you come from an authentic place versus a place where you're just going to do whatever they say because you're getting the paycheck. There comes a time when money is less important to you than living your true, authentic energy. And I was not going to be put down by this girl anymore. No more. And when I had staff meetings with my staff, it was the same thing. I want to know what's wrong. I want to know what we need to fix. I want solutions, and then I want to talk about all the wonderful things that are happening here. And every staff meeting I had, that's what came out, because that's what I asked from my staff. And they gave me the feedback that I needed. Same thing when I run retreats. I want to know what's going on. I want to know, the staff is my eyes and my ears. They're constantly telling me what they're seeing. We got to fix that. This could be a safety issue. We have to watch out there, you know, so that we can all come and make solutions together. What's the best way to manage this? What's the best way to do the transportation? And I count on that. And that helps me be a better manager for the whole villa. I'm hoping this is starting to make sense to people. You have a responsibility to yourself to stand up for yourself. You don't let anyone put you down. You stand up for what's right. And if people are not recognizing you, then for God's sake, walk away. Just walk away. And it was soon after that that I went to Gary's second retreat and taught meditation for a week. And I learned meditation very quickly. I became very good at teaching meditation. And it was during that second retreat that I told Gary, I got to get rid of all these toxic people in my life. And I said, I think I'm going to have to quit my job. And he said, yes. And I finally went back. And that was it. They were reorganizing the leadership again. And they were going to give me more units. And I said, I'm going to tell you how to save a whole lot of money. 6 figures. I said, terminate my position. I'm done here. And they took 4 days to deliberate. They gave me a phenomenal severance package. I had a full year of medical benefits. And I walked out of there. And I went from 6 figures to 0. And I have never been happier. I have never been healthier. I have never felt so good about taking a risk. That was a risk. But I risked staying there or walking away and creating my own life. Every one of you deserves to create your own life. And I say, be careful who you're surrounding yourself with. Think well on the groups you're with. Be aware of the people that you're with. Understand the people that you're with without needing to put them down, without needing to criticize them or judge them. Be with them and become a part of a very sustainable, dynamic group of people that consist of adaptives, dynamics, creatives. Look for that, create it. I always said to Gary, before there can be reorganization of this society, which is in its worst time right now, there has to be chaos. So I see this time of chaos as an amazing opportunity to reorganize. And we're looking for people who are going to understand themselves, understand the people they're surrounding themselves with, and really stand up for what's right on this planet. That's what we're doing here. That's why we do this, right? We don't want dysfunctional people to stay old and live a long, long time. I'm kidding. We want everyone to live a long time. Yeah. So that's why we invite you to explore your authentic self, to see who you really are versus who you've been conditioned to be. I was conditioned to be an adaptive assertive. I was very organized. I love to keep things very just so. And when I realized, I read the book the second time and watched the film again, Who Are You Really? I said, whoa, wait a minute. I think I've been taught to be an adaptive, but I'm really not. And I realized I was in a dynamic energy, and I began to live that energy instead of constantly needing everyone's approval. Am I okay? Did you like me? I don't know. Did I do the right thing? No. I go out there and I assert myself because I'm coming from a place of unconditional love. It's my authentic me, and I'm very, very clear about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And I ask you to explore that same thing in your life now. So I'm going to be sending this handout right over to our webmaster so you can all see it along with this lecture. And I invite anyone at home, if you have any questions, please do drop me an email. And I look forward to our next time together. Anybody have any questions here? Pardon? It's called Who Are You Really? Yeah, and it's part of a trilogy called Gary Null's Guide to a Joyful, Happy Life. There's 3 books in it, and one of them is Who Are You Really? It's one of my favorite books, and he has a DVD called Who Are You Really? It's life-changing. It helps you have a much deeper understanding. And again, This information, Gary was channeled this information when he sat in meditation up in the mountains for a week, and all he had was, fluids. And all of a sudden, all this information came into his head, and he wrote it all down, and he wrote the book. It's amazing. And every one of you can be channeled as well. But you've got to get out of all the emotional crap in your mind. You've got to get out of all the old conditioning in your mind. You've got to sit in silence every day. Every day you've got to sit in silence for at least an hour. Be in nature. Be with yourself and be okay with yourself. And know that there is a vast treasure of wonderful things inside of you that you have access to. But you don't have access if you're blocking them with your behaviors. All right? Does it make sense? Good. So I thank you all for being here. I thank you all at home for listening in, and I look forward to our next meeting together.